The episode you're about to listen to contains graphic descriptions of physical abuse that you may find disturbing. If discussions of this nature are likely to trigger you, I strongly recommend that you do not listen to this episode or the series in full.
All up in my feelings, I'm all up in my feelings, yeah.
We're back, part 4 of your incredibly, I don't even know how to describe it, emotional roller coaster, because I'm definitely riding that wave. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you're not going to hit me with serious curveballs because I don't know how much of this I can take. This is intense, brah.
Really getting started.
My God. You're basically saying hold tight.
Yes.
So last we spoke, he was looking for an excuse to go probably see the girl, and he said he wanted to go study at uni, and you're like, since whenever you had to go study at uni? Okay, take it off.
So obviously that happened and there was no way of stopping him. So I just had to leave it be, and I tried to call him. He was messaging me throughout. He's like, I was like, okay, cool. You know, I didn't understand it. But I was just like, he's messaging me, and then it kind of just made me think maybe he is at uni. But obviously, in the back of my head, I'm like, I know he's not at uni. He's just trying to cover up for himself.
He's playing mind games.
Yeah. So I finally then did confront him about it. Like, you know, what's going on with you and this girl? Like, you know, I've been seeing you liking her pictures a lot on Instagram, and, you know, on you're commenting on her Facebook posts and whatnot. And he was like, oh, there's nothing going on. And I was like, okay. So how come she lives, because obviously with Facebook, you know, again, location.
I came off Facebook because of these very same things.
So, you know,
now look at what it's doing to I mean, it's helping you, but for him, it's big wahala.
Yeah. So I saw in the car, in the sat nav, you know, her postcode did come up, like, you know, and I was like,
you had to go looking in the car.
I didn't go looking in the car. I was actually putting a postcode to go somewhere else, and then I just realized it. I clocked it on.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah. So, fast forward, you know, where am I? I'm trying to think of how to put it without, like, you know. So I told someone about it.
Who?
An elder from church, like, you know, this lady, I really had mad respect for her, and he had respect for her as well.
You had friends you're talking to
it's
before,
someone
so
that,
why didn't the elders come into the picture earlier? Why are they coming now?
They were there, but they were not there in that sense, you know, as in support and how to, you know, married life and all that stuff before. Like, it was more like counseling before the white wedding and things like that. I then told this lady, like, what was going on and everything. And they came to sat us down, and, like, you know, they were like, oh, but we told them about what I had done and what he had done. And obviously he made himself out to be the good guy.
The good guy, yeah.
And, you know, the victim and everything. And I took it. I put my hands up and I was like, because I did this. And as a woman, you shouldn't.
You see, if I didn't have the backstory, I would have been like, come on, you know, why'd you keep doing this? Why'd you keep doing this? But now it's very clear why you're doing this.
Yeah. So I took it and I was like, yes, my fault, you know, why we're in this situation. And then they were like, yes, but you've been honest, and he said that he wants to make things work. So he can't then hold it against you and do things because you've done that. But if you choose to stay, you have to stay. So that's what they say to him. And he was like, oh yeah, I got it. He's got it on board and he does forgive me and da-da-da-da-da. You know, fast forward. He's still seeing this woman. And now I'm fully aware. He's made it very obvious to me now. He's now told me that for us to move forward, for us to have a better relationship,
you have to accept this woman.
I have to accept it because he's just talking to her. There's nothing else going on. They're not sleeping together or anything. They're just talking because he needs to feel better about himself as a man, and it's an ego boost.
Because you've said another man had a big wheelie than yours.
Yes. And there's me, silly me. I'm like, okay, like it's it's still hurting my feelings, and whatever.
This is
I
crazy.
accepted it,
This is
and I was
crazy.
like, this is for our relationship. Like once he lets that steam out of his system, we'll be good again. We'll be good. I was trying to tell myself that everything was okay, and
Yeah.
it's my fault why we're in this, and and it happened. It happened until December.
What happened?
The relationship was
this love triangle.
It was. He would leave the house and tell me that he was going there, and there's nothing I can do about
And
it.
what would you say? Okay.
It's not like I would say okay, but I would just respond.
Would you hug him by? Would you kiss him by when
No.
he's telling you this?
No,
Were you guys still sleeping together?
no. I stopped.
At what point did you stop?
The moment that I found out that there was actually something more going on with this woman.
So how long had that been?
It was like, I think after the 4th, it just stopped around the 4th, yeah. After that 4th of November, that was it. That was the last time.
So was this weeks, months?
So it's now been like almost about 6-7 weeks now.
So that's almost 2 months of no sex.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's telling you that I'm going to go see a friend who I'm finding comfort in because I need to feel better.
Oh no, he wasn't saying it's her friend. He was saying that it's someone that he's seeing.
So you now concluded that if he's not having sex with you, well, if you're not having sex with him because you pulled out, he's getting it elsewhere.
Yeah, so I knew that, and I didn't want to put myself in that situation where I could end up getting something.
Lord have mercy. I'm just trying to understand how much you can take as a human. And I'm genuinely trying to understand. Because you've taken physical abuse, you've taken emotional abuse, you're dealing with financial strain, and now you're dealing with infidelity. I don't know if there's anything more that can be thrown at you.
No, trust me, there is. So that's happening. I'm talking to, the elders and all that stuff. Like, I've told the lady, like, this is what's now happening. And she's spoken to him, and he's also said to her, like, you know what, there's nothing happening with this lady. It's just me trying to move past what's happened. And there's nothing but just a friendship.
So the elders saying, let's pray for you guys. Let's pray for the situation.
Yes, of course.
You see, this is problematic for me because I've got a friend who was abused for 10 years by a husband in a way that is similar to what you're describing. And she went to the church for help, and all they said was, pray for them, pray for them.
Guys, the church is not your refuge.
Yeah.
The church is not the place for, the church can't help you with shit.
And what made it worse was the guy was an elder at the church. So the elder is beating the daylights out of his wife. The wife is going to the church for help. The church is saying, come, let's pray. Mm-hmm. Do you know what her saving grace was? Her mind finally broke. Her body just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So it was in the middle of December, and you know how cold December is. She was outside, sat in the middle of a road with just lingerie on and singing a song. And the police car happened to be driving past. Are you okay? She wasn't okay.
Yeah.
She wasn't okay. And then they took her in, obviously established that her mind had finally given up. It had snapped. Something had gone wrong. Then they asked the questions, understood the background. Guess how long it took between her being picked up on a cold winter's evening and the guy being locked up?
How long?
Under 6 weeks. So he was taken pretty much immediately. Right? And then it has to go through the whole court process and blah, 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 blah. 6 weeks.
Yeah.
To solve something that she'd been crying about for 10 years. And I'm only highlighting this not to have a go at churches, but churches have a significant failing that needs to be addressed. And that's the same thing that is coming from you right now as I hear this.
Me, I am now at a point, my family even, they now know. They don't talk church to me because I'm like, you know what? I said to my mom, you can take your grandkids, go to church. you will not see me step foot in a church. Something. I was like, I need to have a sign from God himself for me to even step foot in a church again. Because with what I went through, it put me off completely. Like, God, if you want to hear me, you can hear me in my own house. I can pray anywhere. Just the same way that the disciples were praying in the Bible, where they were not praying, they were praying anywhere. They were not just praying in churches. So I can do that in my house. So for me personally, churches are just not the place for anything, for help. I just can't. And not to mention, there's also things that happened at church that also kind of put my self-esteem down as well. As to, from when we started, when we started the podcast, and I did say, like, I had a bit of low self-esteem. So the church was contributed to that as well, in a way.
And it's interesting that this is the same guy also who's now got an anointing in quotes and just decided to go deeper within the word. But so did he use that to his advantage? Sorry to have taken you away, so I'm just bringing you back now. So you're speaking to the elders, and they, he keeps saying no, it's because of A, B, C, D, E. Do you feel they were favoring him because he was anointed in quotes and also trying to do the right thing in quotes spiritually?
In a way, they were kind of using that as well, but the more favoritism of it is that they were quite old-fashioned, and it was like, no matter what, you stay in your marriage and you make it work. That's how she was. Like, like no matter what happens, you don't leave your house.
And this is based
on...
The
only way you leave is when one of you dies. Yes.
So you could do anything under the sun for as long as you're both still alive. Jesus.
So let's fast forward. So they're having their relationship, and and then I'm spending so much time by myself. I'm starting to kind of come out of it a little bit. I'm starting to come out of it because I'm starting to see things a little bit more clearly. And I'm like, why am I isolating myself from the world? And then my friends from uni, they were like, okay, we planned a Christmas dinner. And we went out for, after uni, we went out for dinner and, would exchange presents and things like that. I told him I'm going out with my friends for Christmas dinner and, see you later. And he was like, okay, cool, I'm going out anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I was like, cool. And when I came back, I wasn't expecting him to be at home.
Yeah.
I got back home and I was a bit confused as to why he was at home. And because one of my friends from uni, this guy, he dropped me off. And I was like, maybe he wanted to see who's going to drop me home. But I wasn't too sure because even then I was like, you know what, drop me off like near the bus stop. I'll just walk home because I didn't want any drama or anything like that. Got there and he's just sitting down and he's like, oh, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, why? What's going on? And he's like, something's happened and I need to talk to you. And I was like, in my head, I just knew what had happened.
So in your head, what did you think had happened?
He had got the girl pregnant.
So is that what he said?
Jolo. I got my mom had got me a car. My mom had given me her old car.
Yeah.
Little Citroen C3 and I just got my car keys and I went into the car and I locked myself in. I have no license as well. Don't forget that. I was literally about to pull out and then he stood out like behind and I'm like, I can't run you over. You need to leave. And he wouldn't. So I was like, okay, cool. So I parked the car. I put the car back and like where it was parked and kept the doors locked. And I called my friend and I was like, this is what's happened. And she's like, you can't keep doing that. Sorry, Kanye.
It's okay. It's just more work for me. Sorry. I'm used to it now. But at this point,
oh, come on. It's just once.
No. Yeah. No, I'll be fair. You've done well.
I've been doing well. So it's just like, Kanye, you can't keep doing this to yourself. look what's happened now. And you've just been letting him get away with everything and anything under the sun.
So, Kanye, in the same way that you wanted a reason to leave, did it ever cross your mind that he may have been thinking the same and telling you that somebody's pregnant was that reason?
I thought that, but the thing is, he was like,
really?
I don't want that child.
Did you really think that? Because if you did, if he's telling you that somebody's pregnant, why are you going to the car and locking yourself up? Because it was expected. If he's
honest,
having sex with someone and this guy's got I don't know, I guess a habit of having it unprotected. Because this will be baby mama number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unexpected behavior of him.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I went and locked myself in the car because, like, do you know the moment that he told me, I was looking in the kitchen at a knife. I had to, and I just, like, while I'm looking at the knife, all I could see was my daughter.
Okay.
So I had to remove myself from that.
Okay.
Because what I would have done at that moment in time, God knows, honestly. And he told me this, and I just couldn't. And I told him that he just needed to go and leave me be. I stayed in the car for like a good hour, and then he sent me a message, and he's like, I'm going to leave and let you come back because you can't stay in the car. I'm going to go. But I go to my friend's house, and I was like, cool. So I waited for him to leave, and then I went back inside the house. And the next day he came and tried to explain himself. He was like, I don't want this child. I never wanted that. And I'm like, but the moment that you have unprotected sex with someone, you have to expect that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't, whether or not that person is on contraception, it does not matter. The moment you decide to have unprotected
There's
sex,
always that risk, yeah.
There is a risk of you having a child. So be ready to be a father as soon as you do that.
Well, be ready to be a father to another child because man's got children already.
Exactly. And he was like, I've had words with her. She's going to take the pregnancy off and things like that. Me, in my feelings, this is Christmas, around Christmas time. And I'm like, I'm here trying to make it a good Christmas for my kids, for the kids. And, his son as well was coming for Christmas. And I'm now forced to pretend like everything is okay for the sake of the kids. I just took my car and I went shopping. And while I was there, I'm buying his son a gift. And I'm like, why am I doing this? He honestly doesn't care. But then at the same time, I'm fighting with myself as well. And I'm like, he's just a child. What does he know? It's not his fault.
They say when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. So for him, he would have been suffering and paying for the mess that you guys are going through.
Yeah. And while I was in my feelings, I decided to call her. And I just wanted her to confirm.
Where did you get her number from?
Oh, I had her number already.
From where?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yes, the conversations, remember? That's when she gave him her number and yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I had her number and I called her because I wanted her to confirm, like.
What did you want her to confirm though? What you didn't know?
That she was pregnant, that it was actually true. In my head, I'm like, maybe he's just saying it to hurt me.
Okay, but they're having sex anyway. Wasn't that enough hurt?
It was, but at the time.
So why did you want more hurt?
In a way, I was just hoping that it wasn't true.
Okay, if it wasn't true, fine, remove the baby. They are still having sex, and that is hurtful enough. Yeah. Someone is in your intimate space. Isn't that hurtful enough?
It is. It is.
So why do you want either to find out more hurt, or if you don't, if she's not pregnant, you would still be okay with them still having sex?
No,
Which is-
obviously not.
Which is still hurtful.
Obviously not. I think I wanted to just understand exactly what was happening.
What's there
Like,
to understand? They're having unprotected sex, and she could be pregnant. What is there to understand?
no, because what let me tell you the conversation.
Yeah,
there.
we're getting there. But before we get to that point, I'm just trying to understand how you might have been thinking at this point, because what you're going to tell me is resolution of whatever this output is. But I'm just trying to pick your mind and I don't know, just to better understand, because as far as I'm concerned, you are not yourself.
Yeah,
You haven't been yourself for a while.
yeah.
And how much of this version of you is feeding into this way? You know, people talk about the Stockholm syndrome, where
Yeah.
somebody who's been captured falls in love with their abuser.
I think
Right?
what it is,
Mm.
I wanted to know because I wanted to know how important she was to him, and if she was going to get rid of that baby. Because to me, if she was going to get rid of the baby, there was still hope for us.
Hey.
Because in the sense, don't forget as well, at this
Yeah.
time, I've also been trying to have a baby.
But you stopped having sex, so you stopped trying.
So we've stopped trying, and since, even with the time when we was trying, nothing happened.
So if the answer would have been,
So-
I'm not pregnant, was that going to give you hope to say, okay, so they're having sex, she hasn't fallen pregnant. That's a lucky near miss. So now I can open up the door, start having sex with him, and my chances of a baby with him are improved.
Not exactly in that way,
So in what way?
but more in the sense of like, because he had said, okay, he's ended it. So I was like, so that means if she's not pregnant, then she's no longer in the picture.
But if she is, he's ended it, but she's still in the picture, just like the other 3 baby mamas.
Yes.
So how have you coped with the other 3 so far?
as much of it, like, it was one of them was very in the picture, the one that he had a friendship with, and obviously that's the little boy that used to come to my house, and because he was the same age as my daughter, so it was easier for me to care for him rather than anything.
So you'd have been okay adding another one.
I wouldn't, but at that time I was so lost
Yeah.
in this marriage
Mm.
that I just wanted to make it work. And I did talk to someone about it, and I was told, like, you know what, these things happen. Men do these
So
things.
who's this other person you've spoken to now about this? Because I know you've spoken to some friends,
So I've spoken to the elder, and I've also spoken to my auntie.
So
I've
who's this
spoken-
other person?
This was, I don't know. I don't want to make it too obvious who this person was.
Don't answer that then, please. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and they're like, men do these things, and
Hey, woman, this cultural thing that keeps playing must be frustrating not only for women but for men as well. It just ain't right.
yeah.
It just isn't right. I almost feel like if there's somebody who could donate some funds for us to have a campaign to fix the summer, we need to jump onto that. It's
Yeah.
incredibly frustrating.
It is, honestly, it really is.
Happiness is almost viewed as a pandemic. You cannot be happy. Expect unhappiness, and that's how you measure how good your relationship is. This takes me back to episode 40.
Yeah.
And I remember it so well because it was so outlandish. My guest said she got used to seeing abuse and mistrust and fighting and shouting in a family that she thought that that's what love looks like.
Yeah.
And in the absence of that, then the guy you're with doesn't really love you. And he treated her like so much shit. They dated for 16 years and they saw each other twice. Twice. And she ended up paying for some other woman to abort.
Oh, wow.
That's how crazy it was. And that's what this is sounding like. Take as much bullshit as you can because this is what African relationship should look like. How we need to do better, guys.
Yeah. So, we had that conversation. I spoke to her and she was like, oh, he wants me to get rid of the baby, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's not coming back to you. If you think that that's your way of trapping him. And, of course, I'm trying to be a strong woman.
So why
here.
do you suddenly now have a voice for some other woman and not for yourself?
See, that's the thing about us women. That's how we're built. Like, I could stand up to her, but I couldn't stand up to him. Because, I've got that fear. And as much, at that time you think it's respect, but it's fear. And so I could say anything to her.
Yeah.
But to him, I couldn't say exactly how I was feeling. So, I'm telling her, like, you know what, even if you keep that baby, he's not going to, want you because you've had the baby. And his family is not going to support it, obviously. Because I'd already spoken to him about it. And they were like, we don't know about no grandchild. We don't know. Even if she has this child, that's not got nothing to do with us. We don't know her.
How did she take that?
And she then, obviously, what was she going to do? She called him and told him exactly. So when I got back home, he was there waiting for me. And I was like, I say to him, like, for the first time in a while, I actually had some backbone. And I was like, what did you expect me to do?
Yeah.
I just said to him, what did you expect me to do? With everything, I should just be like, clap my hands for you. Well done. You've done very well, my husband. You've impregnated someone else. And I'm like, I've told you that I want a child. And you know my fears of not being able to conceive again. And then you can tell me this and I should take it very lightly. It's like, oh, no, I don't expect you to take it lightly or anything. And I'm like, then excuse me if I need to call her or I need to shout or I need to scream or I need to cry. Because I need to do that in order to deal with this. And, we had that conversation and he was like, oh, he's going to sort it out. And I was like, oh, cool, you sort it out. He's going to keep trying to talk to her and try and get her to have an abortion. I was like, cool. And fast forward about a couple of weeks later.
So can I ask, did the abortion come with leaving her too? Or they were planning or hoping to lose the baby but keep her in the picture? What was the formula there?
So it was literally done deal. The fact that he was like, I thought she was different. But
in what sense? Was he expecting it to be different?
To be the complete opposite of me, I'm guessing.
Okay, right.
Because according to him, I was too controlling. I was controlling him and I was checking up on him too much.
Okay.
And what he says made him realize that she wasn't better than me was the fact that she messaged me one time and through his phone as well. I even still have the messages on my phone. I'll show you later.
Why do you have those messages though? They're a constant reminder.
I like my V11s.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do you know what? As much as you might say...
That's a bad time for you mentally though.
To be honest with you, there are things that I shouldn't be keeping, but in a way, it's things that keep me going.
How do they keep you going?
When I look at those messages sometimes, like, when you've been in that situation, when you come out, you actually do start thinking like, ish, maybe you feel lonely. And you think, maybe I can go back there. And then when I look at those messages, I'm like, no. Kanye, you did very well. Stay away.
Yeah.
So in a way, they do help me. But then with everyone, it's different. It's different for other people. For other people, that just brings them back and it tears them apart. But for me, it keeps me going. It keeps me strong. It makes me see that I've overcome.
Right. Yeah. I get that.
So you, as a person, you have to find your own coping mechanisms. And that was one of mine. And whenever I'm feeling low, I look at those messages and I'm like, nah, I would rather be here than there. I prefer this than that. So he's saying that he's going to talk to her to get an abortion, whatever. And in that time, I start talking to placement guy again.
He's been quiet for a while.
Yeah, we stopped talking for a very long time. I literally he was on my Snapchat, but I had muted him so I couldn't see what he's doing, but he could see what I was doing.
Okay.
And I unmuted him. I started started talking to him, and then he was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually living closer to you now."
Come on, girl.
And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, you should come and visit me sometime." And me, I'm like, "Okay, cool." So one night, he was like, "Oh, he's going out." I didn't know where he was going. Me, I was like, "Okay, you're going out. Fine, cool, go."
This is Jack going out.
Yeah, he's going out. So I was like, I called placement guy and I was like, "Are you at home? I'll pass through. But I've got my daughter with me." I was like, "Cool, yeah, you should come through." So we went, I drive there, like this was like around 9-10 in the evening. Because I was calling this guy and he was picking up, and I'm like, "You know what, you've gone back there.
Yeah.
So you know what, there's really nothing left for us." So I went to see placement guy, and I'm like, I spoke to his dad called me that day, and I was speaking to his dad, and I was like, I told him everything that's been going on and everything, and his dad was like, "You know what, for as far as we're concerned, you're the only Murora we have, and we don't know about no other child apart from the ones that are already there, and we are even waiting for you to have a child."
So all these guys are still backing him up in quotes because they're saying you're the only one we see, so stick with him.
Yeah, in a way,
and we'll support you if you stick with him, pretty much.
Yeah, and as much as it was at that time, it felt like reassurance because obviously I didn't see that much into it. I didn't read too much into it. I was blinded as to what was going on. So for me, it was more like reassurance when really it wasn't. It was like, you know what? We know our son.
Yeah.
In other words, when I look at it, I'm like, they're like, we know our son.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, you are the one who he's introduced us to. So that's the only part. We only focus on you because they're the one that we know. And so, with placement guy, nothing happened. I just went there. And, I was just like, I felt like crap because I was like, he's gone to where he's gone. I don't want to be at home thinking about all that.
Yeah.
So the placement guy was like, "Oh, you guys can and I'll sleep on the sofa. You guys can stay at mine and I'll sleep on the sofa. Because, it's late now. You don't want to be driving with the child. And even though it's not too far, but you don't have a license and you can't be driving around in the middle of the night with a child." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we slept there, and he went back home, I think around 4 or 5 a.m. And then he's like, "Oh, where are you?" And now starts calling me, and I switch off my phone. And that I went back home the next day, and he was like, "Oh, where were you?" And I was like, "I went to sleep at a friend's house. What's it to you?" And he was like, "Oh, what do you mean you went to sleep at a friend's house?" And I was like, "I went to sleep at a friend's house." I was like, "Okay, cool." Because my daughter was there, and I was like, "Anyways, I don't want to talk about it because, don't want to argue in front of her." I was like, "Okay, cool." Fast forward 2 weeks later, he tells me that, she's decided that she's not going to have an abortion.
Surprise, surprise.
Of which I was prepared for that now. And I was like, "So what does that mean?" And he's like, "I've told her that I don't want nothing to do with her or the child. That's her own decision to make. That she's made that bed and she has to lie in it."
No, you made
and
that
I'm
bed
like,
together.
It takes two to make a child.
Of course, takes two to tango.
And just rewind it a little bit. So when I found out that, when he said to me, "Oh, he doesn't want a child with her. He wants to have a child with me. Da da da. We did sleep together.
Okay.
And so I found that out, and about February time, he comes up again. He's like, he's then been questioning my daughter. He asks her, "Where did you go that night when you didn't sleep at home? Can you show me where you went?" So I was at work. I went to placement. So obviously I don't know what, he's the one who's taken her to school.
How old was your daughter at this point?
At that time she was 7.
So she remembered.
Yikes. So she took him where we were. And she was like, we were there, and yeah. So when I finished placement, we were like, everything was normal. And he's like, where did you say you went? Which friend? Can you show me where you went? Can we go to your friend's house now? And I'm like, it's like, almost midnight. To go and do what? He's like, I just want to know. I want to see where you were. And he drove me there. He drove me like, because I was like, trying to figure out, okay. So I was like, my friend from placement. I was like, okay. I know she would be like, she would cover for me. So went to hers, and he was like, no, this is not where you were. And I'm like, what do you mean? I know where I was. He's like, no, this is not where you were. You need to tell me where you were. And as we're going back towards the house, there's like, how do you put it? Like forestry kind of thing. And he now takes my house keys and my phone. He slaps me across the face, and he's like, you think I'm an idiot? I know where you've been. And he tells me to get out of the car and I can walk. And this time I'm just thinking, rather than him to keep beating me, I'd rather get out of the car. And as I'm trying to get out of the car, he pulls me back and he's like, what do you think you're doing? You're not getting out of that car. And I'm like, you told me to get out of the car, so let me get out. You can have it all. You want the house, you can have it. I don't know how you're going to have the house without me there, but you can have it. So in me trying to get out of the car, this is a moving car, by the way, but it was going about 20 miles per hour at that time. And I am like, I'm in a point now where I don't know what to do. I'm literally lost. I know where I am, but it's like my soul has left my body. And nothing. He's talking, I can't hear him. And he's like, and then he slams the door, he slams the door, reaches out and closes the door and locks it. And takes me back home. And he's like, I know where you went. Your daughter showed me. You was with the placement guy. And you guys slept together. And I was like, no, I was with my daughter.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, there's no way that you can go to a guy's house and not sleep with him. Because you as a hoe, and that's all you know. You've done it once before, so what would stop you from doing it again? And that was a point where I was like, you know what? If this is what you really think of me, I found a voice. And I was like, if this is what you really think of me, then why don't you just leave?
That's a very good question.
If you think I am the worst of women out there, why don't you just leave? Because this is just not good at all.
For anyone, yeah.
And I'm like, we've now left my daughter sleeping by herself for 3 whole hours.
Mm.
If social services is to hear of that, then what? If something happens, then what?
Mm.
And it got him thinking. And I took my daughter to my mum's for a bit. And I was at placement, so I was hardly at home.
Mm.
I would go to wake up, go to placement, come back, sleep, and that's it.
Mm.
I wasn't even eating. I lost so much weight. And, you know, I was beyond recognizable at some point. Like, I just wasn't myself.
That's how much weight you had lost.
Yeah. And we went to an event and someone made a comment and they were like, "You've lost a lot of weight, but he looks good."
Mm.
They were, I didn't, at that time, I didn't really think about it, but now
But they were saying something.
they were saying something, but you know, like talking from a grown up point of view, like, you know, them kind of grown up talks.
Mm.
That's when, like, I came to understand it later on. I'm like, she was trying to say something.
Mm.
Because I had gone down from a size 8 to a size 6.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what they say? When a woman is happy, it's either she glows or she puts on weight.
Mm.
One of the two. And neither of those were happening for me. He then sits me down and he's like, "You know what we've been doing is just been hurting each other. And it's time that we actually, you know, let's start on a clean slate. Let's put everything behind us." And I'm like, we can't really put everything behind us because you've got a baby that's coming.
Mm.
And he's like, "I don't care about that." And don't forget, yes, as much as I've started to find a voice, I'm still in it.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit lost. So I was like, okay, cool. We can do this. We can do this. So he was like, let's do try to take my focus away from everything. And he was like, maybe we should do our white wedding now. We do something that we can afford.
Mm.
Something small, nothing too big.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me something to think about and something to concentrate on.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. He finds a venue, he pays for it. He's like hustling and, you know, he was doing the utmost, like, you know.
Mm.
And then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we could make this work. We can make it work. Like, you know, he's putting that effort in. He's even paid for the venue and he's paying for all these things. Like, you know, he's getting his friends involved. You know, his family's getting involved.
Mm.
So, yeah, why not? We can do it. And, you know, fast forward, we have our wedding, like, you know, wedding day, like just a few days out before the wedding, day before the wedding. We're getting stuff to go to the venue and all that stuff. And we went out with my friends to go and get a few things. So my friends came at least 2 days before the wedding. So they came on a Thursday. So on the Thursday, I was like, okay, let's get a few things because I needed to go and pick up the cake, pick up a few other things and whatever. And we did that. And he was like, oh, where have you guys, like, he's calling me. He's like, where are you guys at? You're taking too long. We need to go to the venue and drop some of the stuff off and, you know, be ready to and come back on time. I was like, we're on our way. This is things that I need to do. And at that time, I didn't even have my lingerie for the night, for that wedding, for the wedding day. I was looking for that. And he was like, that doesn't matter. You can look for that another time. Tomorrow or, you know, whenever. Or get someone else to look for it for you. Oh, sorry, just to rewind a little bit. So, what was it? February, end of February, going into April, I found out I was pregnant.
I wanted to ask when you said that you had sex.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask because I had that little feeling.
Yeah. So I found out that I was pregnant. So
Mm.
it's got 2 women pregnant at the same time now. And I'm like,
My man's a sharpshooter, you know.
so I'm like, even when I got pregnant, I was like, I was still a bit in limbo about it because I was like,
Mm.
I did question him a lot, and I was like, and he was like, no, I want this baby.
Yeah, well,
There was a time when I actually thought, like, you
it
know
shouldn't
what?
really have mattered though, because you wanted the baby. You wanted to see whether you could conceive. You wanted to know whether you had the same problem as your aunt.
Yeah. But at the same time, when I found out, I was also thinking in the back of my mind, do I want to have a baby right now? When he's got another woman who's pregnant for him as well. But because I wanted a baby so much and I'd waited for so long,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to carry on, and, you know.
Mm.
So, yeah, you know, when, you know, it was in line with my uni stuff. Like, you know, it was okay. Like, my uni was supportive about everything. So, let's go back to the wedding. Day before the wedding, I'm out with my friends. We're going to get our hair done. And I'm like, oh, crap. My eyebrows look like I don't know what. And it's my wedding day tomorrow. How's that going to work?
You need to sort them out.
So getting my hair done, and then was like, can we just quickly pass through the salon to get my eyebrows done? The other salon to get my eyebrows done. And they were like, and the girls were like, yeah, you know, I'm sure we'll have like about 30 minutes or so to spare. When we got back, where have you guys been? You were supposed to just go and get your hair done. What were you guys doing? And when everyone was okay, now then my friend tried to calm him down. She's like, you know what? You know, we needed to get our hair done and all this stuff, things that we needed to do.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but you could have also found a salon to get those things done. I didn't even have my nails done. Nothing. And, you know, and while we was packing the stuff into the van and all that stuff, because most of the stuff was at my house, it was just the 2 of us left in the house, and he was like, he slapped me, and he was like, I'm trying
to translate that in English. It's pretty much saying you're taking the piss now.
Yeah. And me, I'm just, I didn't even, you know, like, at that time, I didn't even, like, because he had been shouting at me and all these things. I'm pregnant. I'm so emotional. I'm home, like, hormones are flying all over the place. I was just like, huh? And I didn't want people to see me.
How many weeks in were you at this point?
I was about 6-7 months.
Yo, you were proper, like, preggy, like, proper. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that's usually what happens when people are pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, but I thought you were going to say a couple of weeks. Like, you are proper visible by that point.
Yeah.
Wow. So where did he think you were? What is he thinking? You're out seeing some dude?
Do you know what I mean?
The night before your wedding, and 2, you were heavily pregnant? Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so, you know, and let's rewind a little bit. A week before, his mistress gave birth before the wedding.
I had forgotten about her. I had forgotten about it completely because we weren't really talking about it. And in my mind, because I said I want nothing to do with her, I just kind of forgot about it.
She was calling. You did go to a few of her scans, actually. I found out that later on.
So was it there for a delivery?
She was calling him on the day because they had talked and said that he would go and be there when she's giving birth and take her to the hospital.
Aye, boy. So, okay, I don't really need to ask the question. But what I was going to ask, don't answer. It's kind of rhetoric. Is how does a man go from I'll tell her to take the child off, keeps the baby, says, I want nothing to do with it, then ends up going for scans and ends up agreeing to be there for delivery, is mind-boggling.
Yeah. And, that's happened. And, the night that we had, the first night that we took things to the venue, after that argument, he was like, we was in the van and someone messaged him. And with with this technology now, there was a message coming and the van read the message out.
One of them ones.
What time are you getting here?
They call it text to speech. Oh.
So this girl is like,
yo,
I don't. Is this a new number?
Yo, and I.
Technology will get people in trouble. Wait.
Apart from technology, this guy does not learn. So I've heard about sex addiction. And because I'm not really in circles where I've seen people either who are openly, who are addicted to it and open to it, it's something that flies under the radar for me. I don't pay no mind, don't pay no attention. But the amount of women involved in this thing, sex addiction right there.
To be honest with you, the way, how do you put it? I'm sorry if anyone gets offended by this shit, but I have to say, the way me and my friend came to this conclusion was like, you know what?
What conclusion?
A man would cheat like that, because he's insecure about something and he wants to show everybody his disability.
Yeah.
Do you understand what you mean?
Yes, yeah, I get it.
He wants to feel good about himself. Like, you know that you're not good at something. So you want to make yourself feel better.
So what was he not good at?
He was just not good when it comes to that. But I think because when you're in love with someone, you kind of don't look too much into it.
So hold up. In addition to everything that we've described that was wrong in this situation, he's a shit shag. Lord.
But when you're in love with someone, you don't really look at it. It's like that. You're like, you know what?
What were you sticking around for? It's a common question for me to ask, to say, were you digmatized in the episode?
You did ask me.
Did I really?
You did. You asked me in the first episode. Yeah, you asked me.
Oh, snap. Okay, what did you say?
I said no.
I probably didn't believe you and didn't want to push it because it would have come up again somewhere. But the fact that you were not even digmatized, in fact, it was shit sex, and you are here?
Listen, I was in love, okay? I was in love. When you're in love, you do crazy things and you put up with shit sex too.
I got a newfound respect for love, Shaman. Yeah. So he was having all this sex in the hope of improving, I guess, because he knew that he was shit at it. I wonder if he had been told he was shit at it.
Because, you know what? Do you know how I came to that conclusion?
That's why he's asking about, was it bigger than me? And he says, describe it to me. Tell me exactly what he did.
Because...
I mean, what happened? Yeah.
That's literally what me and my friend were like. Because we're trying to figure out exactly what it is. And because some of the girls that he had also slept with also say that, you know what?
This dude is shit.
This dude is shit. I don't even know why I wasted my time.
This is why a man should not go having sex with anything with a heartbeat, right? Because if you do a shit job of it, you literally become a national statistics for poor performance.
That's why, we came up with the fact that he's just out here trying to show everyone his disability.
Wow, it's not even an inability, right? It's a disability.
I think I did put it on my Snapchat once, and people were like so offended because I was like, a man would only cheat because he wants to be out here.
But by the way, sometimes men don't know they're shit in bed until they're told. So someone along the line there must have told him something.
Yeah, probably. Probably the fact that...
Did he ever ask you, so when you guys would have sex, would you ask you stuff like, how was it? Would he say, how was it? Did you like that?
To be honest with you, we never really had those conversations.
Because maybe he didn't want to hear that he wasn't getting better.
There was times when I would be like, I don't like certain things that you're doing, and I would try to correct him. And he's like, you're even trying to control me even during sex.
Aibo.
And I'm like, but I'm telling you what I like and what does it for me. So does that not, I'm sorry to my brother if you're listening to this, but
Yeah, they're sorry, bro. You're just gonna have to stomach this one. It's a tough one, but hey.
So obviously I'm like, you know what? Like, you need, like, if you want your sexual relationship to
blossom
and to flourish,
talk about it.
You have to talk about it and be able to take lessons. Just like how a man can tell you how he likes certain things.
A woman should be able to tell you that.
Exactly.
Unfortunately for you women, men have got egos that like to be stroked, no pun intended. But
that's the thing.
Nice
you don't
right?
say it in a direct way. That's the thing. There's ways to say it.
But then if you say it indirectly, some men still don't get it. And he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would have listened to something indirect.
I said it indirectly and then I said it directly.
And it still didn't clock.
When I said it directly, it was then got taken in
out
a different
context.
Yeah.
To say you're comparing me to placement guy. Aye, man.
Yeah. At one point I was told Kuti Zoni, wait, how do you put it? I don't even know how to translate it. I was told Anzi, after placement guy wabuato damba kungikaba.
Oh my god.
And I was like,
do you know, I'm not even gonna translate that into English. It's that bad.
Yeah. So I was just like, so that kind of, like, that self-esteem again. So then I'm also thinking, like, if I then go to someone else, they might think the same. Like, But then that was before I actually learned a lesson. I'm like, no.
Right. I really don't know where to go with this conversation because the stuff that is coming out, I feel like I've run out of emotions to feel. I feel there's like an emotional savings account that I can draw from. From this episode, I can draw happiness. Yeah, this left me happy. I can draw sadness from this one. I can draw whatever. You've depleted all the emotions I thought I could possibly feel in an episode. Because I just asked you the question whether he was addicted to sex, and you're like, maybe it's the disability and him trying to prove a point. So I'm going to take it right back there now. So this woman has now just delivered, and this is where we'd gone to.
He's not gone. He didn't go to see the baby until 2 weeks after the wedding, and when after the wedding, he had to take his son back home the following weekend, and we went together. And his ex, she had just given birth not long ago, but she didn't use some of the early nappies, so she gave them to me. We now had like we had an understanding and a bit of like
some camaraderie of
because obviously I'm spending a lot of time with her child, so she has to have that trust in me, and I also have to.
This is the ex with the boy.
Yes.
Okay, that she went to the GP and all of that stuff.
No. That was the other one, the smaller one.
So which one is this one?
The one that's the same age as my daughter. I mean.
Hi. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, we take him back and she gives me these nappies, and I was like, oh, you know what? It saves me a bit of money, I don't have to buy as much stuff. And we go back, and then, 2 weeks later, he's packing these nappies in the car. And I'm like, but these nappies were given to me, and he's like...
He's going to go deliver for the other one.
Yep. He's like, oh, I'll replace them, whatever. And I was just like, cool, you know what?
How was your wedding, by the way?
The wedding was something.
Describe it in one word. I'm not going to go into detail.
Emotional roller coaster. There was a lot of crying.
On your part?
Because my mom tried to do something very sweet and change things with the decoration and because we had done things ourselves, and she tried to do something very sweet and paid someone to come and do it for us. But in my head, I'm like, this man finds out
that
people did not understand why I got upset about that. Yes, it was a beautiful thing for my mom to do, But I got upset because I was just thinking, if he finds out, he's going to be like, your family's taking control. You're taking control. You guys don't respect me.
Right.
He already thinks that my family don't like him because of the fact that he's got loads of kids.
What did you say his relationship with his dad was like?
It was very rocky. He didn't, like, he only
He really
went...
didn't have one.
Yeah, he only stayed with his dad when he came to this country. And even then, they still had a rocky relationship where he had moved out of home at a very young age, like at 17. So he stayed with his dad for like a year when he came. And then after that, he had to find his own 2 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the wedding was just something. And he was like, oh, you know, they changed things. Why didn't you tell me this? Yeah, I'm like, it was a surprise to me. And then his friend was like, you know what? Even was like, she was quite upset about it. Do you know what? That was my saving grace.
If it wasn't
the
for
fact that his friend was there, it would have been something else.
But you know, it
would have been like, oh, you and your family had this planned already. You're making a fool of me out all this time.
You see, it's a little sad that things really have gone to this level because your mom is just trying to be your mom. And you couldn't be in a position to celebrate your mom's supporting contribution to this.
To be honest with you, with people that look at my wedding pictures, some people that really know me, they can tell you that I wasn't happy. Because the day before, I really wanted to walk away. But then my aunt was like to me, after everything, after all this money that people have spent,
get out of here.
You've gathered people here.
You know, this
so when I was crying about the decorations,
you were crying about
I was not just crying about that. It was a cry for help, like, but I just didn't know how to verbalize it.
And hence the question in the previous episode, to say if there's somebody in your position, what would you tell them to do? Because I can feel this urge and this loud cry for help.
To be honest with you,
but it's not easy to get.
It's not. It was the moment I started to talk about things. That's when, like, I started to get a bit more out of it. But I think, you know, if we keep going back to it, and then, like, you know, we'll kind of lose momentum of what's to happen next. So I think, yeah, let's move forward, and then we'll get to that. So fast forward, I'm almost Christmas time. I'm like, you know, about to explode. And I'm due to go for shopping with my mum, and, like, you know, my mum's like just message me in the morning, and she's like, what are you doing today? Are you home? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm not doing anything. And she's like, let's go shopping. I was like, okay, cool. I say to him, oh, my mum is coming. We're going to go shopping. He's like, who did you make this decision with?
Come on.
Are you really going with your mum? Because I said to my mum, I'll meet her there. But if you can pick me up, that would be great. So he was like, no, you're not going. And I'm like, this is my mum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you want, I can even call her right now.
Yeah.
And I showed him the message, and he's like, no, I don't believe you. I'm like, I am pregnant and I look disgusting. Well, I felt disgusting.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And then I started getting ready, and, you know, I'm like getting ready to go. And when I'm going now to say to him, like, I'm going, he slaps me across the face. I start bleeding from my nose. And now I've got a black eye. Where am I going to go? My mum comes because she's messaging me and calling me, and she can't get a hold of me because she's trying to tell me that she's about to leave the house. She's calling me, so she ends up coming to my house, and she's buzzing. She's now buzzing at my door. And I'm looking at the state of me. I can't open the door. Even if I was to put makeup on, it wasn't going to cover it because my eye was swollen. And yeah, he's like, fix up your face. And I'm like, fix up my face how exactly? So I had to just leave the door to buzz and disappoint my mum, and, you know. And the next day, and I'm like, I can't, there's nothing I can do now. It's too late.
So your mum buzzed until she left.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
She buzzed for like a good 15, 30 minutes. And she was calling.
Did she know you were in the house?
I don't know. She saw his car outside, so I'm guessing she probably knew I was inside.
Did your mum know that you were being physically abused?
She didn't. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. My friend from uni knew about that one time, but nobody knew. And fast forward, you know, I have my baby and everything is going good. He's showing me that whole character that I love. He's, being a good dad. He's like, doing the most. And he's showing me everything that I've been hoping for and wanting.
Which is?
To have a family. That family home that's warm and,
You had one already because you had a daughter and he had you.
Yes.
So, what do you mean?
But I'm like, I've got my kids. I've got a boy and I've got a girl. Like, it's bliss. It's what I wanted. It's what I've always wanted. And
you had it though. You had a daughter.
I did, but I wanted one more. I wanted one more child.
So you were a family already, then why is it suddenly a family with another child?
Because my family is complete.
It wasn't complete with one child?
I wanted one more. I just wanted to have one more. And then I felt like then my family would be complete.
Is it because it was a child with him?
There's also that aspect, but...
Because there was no guarantee you're going to have a second child.
Yeah.
So you may have always been incomplete. And then imagine if that was the case, God forbid, right? And grateful that that wasn't the case. Imagine if that had been the case. What that sounds to me like is that you'd have lived your life in a less happy state because you didn't have that other child. Is that the reality or...
Part of it was like, we now have our own child and like, he's going to do better, obviously, because...
you see, that's what that feels more like to me. The fact that it was that completion because now you have a child with this very same man who's got others of his own elsewhere, but this is ours.
Ours, yeah.
Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth or don't want you to say what you don't mean. But was it more of that, really?
It wasn't more of that.
So what was it?
It was more of, I felt like I can do it. Like, I'm able to actually have a child again. The fact that I was so scared throughout my pregnancy, and even when I got near to the end, I was scared because I was like, what if I have a stillbirth? And what if... There were so many emotions.
Yeah.
So when the whole thing with him hitting me happened, I didn't focus too much on it because I had so much... That was the biggest worry in my head at that time. And I was just thinking, oh my God, what about with this blood that I've lost? What if something happens to the baby? And, like...
Yeah, there was a lot to process.
There was just too much going on. And, when that finally happened, it was like a great weight lifted off my shoulders. And I felt like I could now enjoy it. Because all throughout my pregnancy, I was just worried. And even throughout my pregnancy, I was worried that he could just leave and say like he wants to be part of that child, the other child's life, and didn't want nothing to do with me.
Yeah. So I get what you mean when you say that you finally felt this is whole, this is complete. Okay.
So fast forward, Zimfest happened, and I'm like, oh, Zimfest, like I haven't been out in a while. I finish uni soon. I want to, I want to go out. I want to go celebrate. Like I've done it. Like I'm a mom and I'm doing it. Like I've managed to actually finish uni. I've only got a couple of hours of my placement left, and then I'm done. I want to celebrate. And I want to go to Zimfest. And I say to him, I want to go to Zimfest. And, he goes to me, to do what? You're a mother. Why would you want to be seen in those places? Can't be seen in those kind of places.
Mm.
And I'm like, but if people go with their kids. It's a family thing, isn't it?
Mm.
And he's like, them, yeah, but not my kids.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like, okay. He started going out a lot more.
He did.
He started going out a lot more as well. During that time, he started going out a lot more.
So fathers can do it, but mothers can't do it.
Yes. So, and I found out there was another girl.
I'm done.
And yeah, and this girl's now the one who's helping him. You know, all throughout his uni, I was helping him. I was doing my uni work and doing his uni work as well. Because he's not very good when it came to like English. And even though I'm dyslexic, I found a way to deal with it. And once I sit down and I get started into something, if I don't get distracted, I can get it done.
Mm.
So I would help him with his uni work while I'm also doing my uni work. And then I saw him start asking me less and less to help him with his uni work. Of which I'm like, you know what, maybe he's doing it because
he's getting it now.
No, he's getting it or because I've got a baby. So,
yeah.
He's trying to take the load off me. He doesn't want to bother me too much.
Mm.
And not knowing that he had help somewhere else. And I now, fast forward, near coming to Zimfest 2 weeks before, he went shopping to TK Maxx. I see the receipt and I'm like, And you know they put the sizes. I was like, this one is not my size.
Like, this ain't my size.
I am not size 12, 14. I am not. And I was like, where is it? He bought me a car as well after I gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, huh? So I went and I got car keys and I was like, nah, this stuff must be somewhere. If it's not in this house, it's in the car. So I went in the car, I opened the car. I went to the boot and I was like, I didn't see nothing. I opened the,
Of course, the flap in the boot
yes.
where the spare tire is.
Yes, and guess
boom,
what?
That's where everything was.
Red bag.
TK Maxx.
Yes, he bought a skirt, a small skirt and a crop top and some trainers. And I'm like...
The guy's an amateur.
Okay.
Because...
I took it. And I was like, so who's this for? Because I know that I don't fit into this shit. And he's like, oh, I bought it for my boy. He wanted to surprise his woman. I was like, but why would you hide it? And then he was like, oh, I'm going to go take it. And, take it to him. And I was like, okay, cool. I waited for him to go and take it. Did he take it? He was like, oh, yeah, something came up. He can't.
When this guy's in the corner, it's funny how, how his excuses change.
That was the moment I was like, you know what? I'm done. I am done.
But you said this before, Kanye.
No, this time I was literally done because I'm like, I've had my baby. I've been seeing all these things. I'm the one who's financially holding us all. And I'm looking after your mom. I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
There comes a time and a point where you're like, enough is enough. I have to ask you to go to an event. Come on. Just one thing. And you tell me no. I was like, I told my aunt, like one of my aunties, like she's like a close family friend. Like, me and her we've always been close because she had her son quite at the same age I had my daughter. So we clicked like that. So I told her and she was like, you're mad. We're going.
Oh, to Zimfest, yeah?
Yes, she was like, we're going.
Okay.
Came the day for Zimfest, he was like, he left and his son was at mine as well. And he was like, oh, I'm going, and he went and picked up, I don't know who. He had 2 other girls that he was with and whatever. And I'm like, okay, we'll see each other there.
So he was going to Zimfest also?
He didn't know I was going.
So you're keeping this on the low? Because he had said no.
So he left early. He left around 12 because he had to go pick up some people, innit?
So you knew he was going though?
Yes.
He made it clear to you, I'm going
Yeah,
to Zinfest.
he had a ticket. And he thought because, tickets were not, there wasn't that many tickets anymore. So, and they were now expensive. So there was no way I was going to go. Mate, if I tell you, Tinto, I found money to get those tickets.
Where'd you get that money from?
I borrowed from my friend. I said to my friend, I need money. Just send me money. She never used to ask me questions. She would just give me. Them friends that you just say to her, I need this much money, and she'll be like,
yeah.
And so she sent me the money, and my aunt came. We got ready, and my mom was going to work, so she was like, "Oh, you know what? I'll drop you guys off on my way to work." So my mom dropped us off. My mom didn't. When we were in the car, that's when my mom clocked on what was going on. She was like, "Go, Baba Digi does not know that you guys are going to Zinfest," and I was like, "No." And then I think that's when my mom kind of realized something was going on, and but she didn't say nothing. And we went to Zinfest, and one of my friends was there. She was like, "Oh yeah, I saw him. He was with 2 girls." So we got in, we're there. Like, I'm seeing all these people that I know now, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna find out that I'm here very soon. And yeah, I mind my business. I don't even go looking for him. I'm just there. And what's it called? And then his friends, his sister saw us when he was walking up. And his sister had told him that, "Oh, I saw your wife outside." So he knew that we were there, but he wasn't going to say nothing. He wanted to, he thought oh yeah, I'm going to let her, have her moment. And yeah, so he, later on, he came and found me. And he was like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me you were coming?" And I was like, "I told you I wanted to come, but you said no." So I took it, and I was bored at home. So I took my kids and I came. And he was like, "I'm sorry." And then he was like, "Oh, yeah, my sister told me that I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry I didn't let you come. It is a family thing, it's a child-friendly event."
So where are the 2 girls by now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know at this time. So, I'm like, okay, cool. And then he takes his son and, he goes where he was standing, where he's now with his sister. Because obviously he's not going to be seen with girls with his sister now, is he? Because his sister is quite a woman's woman kind of thing. So he's with the sister. And then the sister's like, Chi, Mrora, why don't you come where we are, don't act like you don't know us. Just because my brother is an ass, it doesn't mean that, we're like that as well. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I was there. And then at the end, we went home together. And I knew that it was not over. I knew it wasn't over. He didn't say nothing.
But you just knew.
I knew it wasn't over. The following week, he went to play somewhere. And when he came back, I had a conversation. So I posted something on my Instagram about Zinfest, and my ex was like, "Oh, you were there, and yours. Why didn't you tell me? I would have come and said hi to her, And he was like, and I was like, well, if you wanted to see her, you would have come and see her. But we
yeah.
You don't, how can you expect to just come and see her there? It's literally 20 minutes away from my house. If you can come all this way for fun, you can.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
And he was like, fair enough. I get what you're saying, but yeah, it would have been nice to say hi anyways. So those are the last 2 messages that he saw. So when he came back, my phone was charging and he was on his side because, and he saw the messages at the front there on Instagram with him saying, "Oh, it would have been nice to see you next. You should have just come and say hi. I hope you had a nice time at Zinfest anyway." And that's what he saw.
And that's what he stuck to.
Yes. And when I didn't get any warning. I did not get a warning at all. He saw that message and he just pulled the blankets and he dragged me by my legs. And while he was dragging me, I am trying to move away because obviously, the next to me thing with the baby sleeping in it. And I knocked that over. And my son falls out. He doesn't stop dragging me. And he's kicking me. And I'm like screaming, can you not see the baby has fallen? And then the third time that I say that, that's when he stopped. And then he threw my phone on my leg, like right here. I'll show you. You see, like, there's a black mark right there.
You still have a scar there.
Like that black mark there. That's where he threw my phone. And yeah, and he put my son back to sleep. And then I'm thinking, like, you know what, I go to the lounge to kind of like, and process what's just happened. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's. And he's like, why is he messaging you? If he wants to see, he can come through me. Oh, if he wants to see her, he can come through me. And I'm like, why? Why does he have to come through you? You are not her dad. So why does he have to? If he wants to see her, he can message me. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah. He can see her if he wants to. And he was like, that's disrespectful towards me. And I'm just like, what? And I was just like, I'm sorry, but I don't have to. He does not have to go through you for anything. And that literally did it. And he started punching me, kicking me, slapping me, all sorts, kicking my stomach, throwing me around. And he took my phone, my bank card, and he's like, because I tried to leave. And he took everything from me. And lucky enough, that my door at that time, like, you didn't have to put keys in. It was just like, them lock. So, and as he was like he was standing by the window, I quickly, I was wearing a little t-shirt and no shoes, nothing. I just ran for the door. As soon as he turned around, I ran for the door and I ran downstairs. And I went to, I knew there was one lady who worked at a hospital and I knew she would know what to do.
Yeah.
So I went and knocked at her door. She was right at the ground floor. So, and then my son, because I made sure I made noise so that my son would start crying. So he had to settle him first before he could come after me. So I just went and banged on the door and left. So once he's settled now, my son down, he's like, this lady takes a while for her to open the door. And then she opens the door and then she's like, what's going on? And I was like, I need your help. I need your phone to just call the police. And he's now settled, my son. He's like coming out and I hear him while I'm talking to the phone. Police, I hear him now calling out my name. He's like, Kanye, where are you? Kanye, where are you? And then he goes back inside. And the police are like, you know what, just stay where you are. We'll be there soon. They came after like 15, 20 minutes. And one of them came to where I was and they both came in. And then the other one was like, which one is your door number? And then I told them. And they were like, okay. So they then take him. And I explained everything that happened and everything. And they're like, okay. They then take my details and, statement. And they were like, okay, he's now out of the house, so you can go back because obviously the kids are there. So I go back upstairs. And then I'm like, I'm looking around and I don't see my bank card. I don't see my phone anywhere. So I'm like, he's got my things. And he's got the house keys as well. And so he gave them my house keys, but he kept his. And that happened. So they gave him, and then they took him. And I just, because his mom then was trying to call him, and then she called me to see where he was. And I was like, your son is at the police station. He beat me. I explained everything to her. And she was like, but why? Why are you putting my son into prison? You want my son to go to prison? And I said to her, you have a daughter. If that was your daughter, would you be saying the same thing? And that got to her. His stepdad, the mom's husband, he called me as well. And I said exactly the same thing to him. And I'm like, if that was your daughter, what would you do? And he was like, I understand. And I'm like, I understand that your wife is a mother and she's just doing what a mother would, protect her child and believe her child is the best person ever. Because no mother wants to, admit that their child is, an abuser.
Yeah.
And, that happens, and let's just say...
And I guess that plays into your lessons number 5, where you say his mother will always be his mother.
Yes. So, that happened. And then, the police were like, they contacted me. And I was like, no, I don't want him to come back to my house. I don't want him back here at all. And they were like, okay, can he come and pick up a few things? And I was like, yeah, but he also needs to leave my house keys while at it. He needs to leave my house keys. And so he came with the police and he left the house keys, and he's like looking at me and he's like trying to speak in Shona, so that they don't understand. I was like, and then I just took my son and I went out of the room and just left him to pack his things. I'd packed already to pack whatever I had not packed. And then, they escorted him out. So there was someone present at that time. And they were like, you have 30 days to decide if you want to press charges or not. And at that time, I was just like, you know what? I want him to suffer. And I was like, I was starting to see sense again.
Yeah.
And as much as I was starting to see sense, at the same time I was like, I don't want to bring up 2 kids on my own. I don't want that. My son is not even 1 yet. And already he's losing his father. So I was like, I don't want to press charges. And that was the mistake that I made. Because then he found, he was like, there's still hope for him. He can find a way back. Because, he was buying me things.
And starting to win you back.
And buying me things, saying all the right things. And on that bombshell, we're going to end this episode. You guys have been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and hopefully you're going to be catching us on part 5 of Love, Pain, and Women. Catch you next weekend.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis andaro raini and chagezain.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis andaro raini and chagezain.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motor noto kujidziro amai.
Kujidziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motor noto kujidziro amai.